Cyberpunk hit the gaming community like crack hit America in the 80s. Wasn't exactly the best for everyone.
What's your name?
My name? Oh, let me tell you my name. I'm confused because, like we're supposed to believe in the ministry, right? So is the church and state supposed to be separate? I'm confused because I never went to school. Right?
If you don't know why this game wasn't exactly received well, you either live under a rock, don't play games, or are mentally brain dead.
I've made a severe and continuous lapse in my judgment.
So many fuckers have talked about it already. Look how many people have talked about it. Why is everyone talking about it? That being said, you might ask, Euless, why are you talking about it? If everyone else has already spoken about it so much, why are you? Well, that's very simple. I'm not going to be talking about it because of... I'm talking about the game itself. Not the bugs and how wacky it is. Wait, no. We all know it's a buggy shit show, and even the devs have been working hard at it trying to make it better day by day. But it still has issues with loading and LODs. That being said, everyone knows it's a buggy mess, and I want to talk about the other stuff that people don't really bring up. Before I tear this game to shreds like a Chevy Impala did to my dog back in 2007, I would like to touch on some of the good things about this game because, believe it or not, it's not a bad game, it's just not extraordinary, it's meh.
You better hit that headshot.
Do you know who else hits her headshots? My mom!
The story is captivating. I mean, it has its issues, and I'll touch up more on those later, but the story overall is really nice and keeps the player entertained. I mean, I've played this game twice, 3 times if you count me replaying these missions for footage, and each time I found myself wanting to continue the quest and being enthralled. Especially if it was my first time. This is exactly what a game wants in a player. I mean, yeah, having fun side missions to do and things to distract you from the main storyline so it doesn't get repetitive, that's alright, you know, but all the characters you get to know, the main quest, the storyline, I mean, Johnny feels like Johnny. He doesn't feel like Keanu Reeves, he feels like Johnny Silverhand. And that's incredibly impressive for a video game, even though I know this is like, it's Keanu Reeves, he's like an A+ actor, he's one of the best out there. Still, in a video game, that's hard to translate over, and every time I played it, I just couldn't help but repeat certain quests just to relive the situations and experience different choices.
And I see the ladies walking.
Each of the characters you meet, I mean, everyone you talk to feels like real people. Like, let's just talk about Johnny for a second. He starts off telling you to
Stick some iron in your mouth and pull the trigger. I'd puke if I fucking could. Lead to the head, only thing that'll fix this.
but as the game progresses, he becomes more and more like a friend, and with a storyline ranging from 22 to 35 hours long, possibly even more depending on how close you stick to the main story, you have plenty of time to form both genuine bonds and feel like you're part of the story. Hell, I had a friend who genuinely fell in love with one of the characters, and that isn't even a fucking joke. It's a perfect culmination of excellent character writing, perfect acting, incredibly realistic graphics, and some of the most realistic NPC interactions to date in a game. This isn't Oblivion dialogue here. This feels very close to real life.
My man, I was wiping some shit off. Pause.
CD Projekt Red hit it hard again. They've always been known for their graphics in The Witcher, and that's no exception for Cyberpunk. When the game's not struggling to load, the game looks and feels photorealistic. The way people talk, the way people act, the way people just interact with you on the street, just people walking by you, the animations, the models, the texturing are perfect down to the pixel. It all feels so real as far as cyberpunk dystopian futures go.
Oh man, cool down. Let's see if get some points here, damn it.
With that being said though, it's not without flaw, and as I'm sure you know. The game has always been portrayed as alright, and honestly that is a perfect description for it. Cyberpunk is a perfect example of a game company stepping out of their shoes, and it makes perfect sense as to why it came out as it is. I mean, let's look at the games CD Projekt Red has made, for instance. Besides, of course, Cyberpunk, they have made The Witcher, The Witcher 2 Assassin of Kings, The Witcher Adventure Game, The Witcher Battle Arena, The Witcher Wild Hunt, and 2 DLCs for Hearts of Stone, Blood and Wine, Gwent, The Witcher card game, Thronebreaker, The Witcher Tales, The Witcher Monster Slayer, which is a phone game. Do you see what I am talking about here? Good for CD Projekt Red to step out of its shoes and try something different, and this is definitely a great stepping stone to making a game outside of the fantasy setting, or more specifically, the Witcher setting. Cyberpunk not being a massive success was almost an inevitability, and it's tragic that it got the hype that it did. If this game was released more silently, and it might have been able to just resurface later, or more importantly, or at least later when it's actually better at being developed and not a buggy shit show. At the whole beginning, I had a whole segment praising the game for its story, right? Now, let me shit talk it. The story is filled with the illusion of choice. For instance, at the beginning you can pick 3 different beginnings: Nomad, Street Kid, or Corpo. My first playthrough I picked Street Kid, and the entire time I was playing I was curious how different the game might have been if I picked Corpo. I mean, I thought maybe instead of stealing the chip from Arasaka, you were working on the inside to try to blackmail like Yorinobu, and you'd have a completely different choices that led you up to getting the chip in your head. Maybe if you picked Nomad, you had to steal it for technology for your clan so that you could survive something, I don't know. I was so set on this, and when I beat the game, I went back to play through it again, and I was dumbstruck. You wanna know the difference between Corpo and Street Kid? In Street Kid, you rob a car and meet Jacky. In Corpo, you just already knew Jacky, wow, nice cop-out, Project Red, and then you get fired and live the exact same life as Street Kid. The only real difference between the different choices that you get at the beginning is the wacky dialogue options that you get at different points in the game based on your past. It's just one example, but it happens all the time.
Well, who cares about a stupid star?
Gee, Patrick, it seems like you would care a lot about stupid stars, considering you are one.
Well, fuck.
I'm going to be talking about the endings here, so if you don't want to be spoiled, just skip to this timestamp. I mean, I don't know why you clicked on this video if you were afraid of spoilers, but oh well. The biggest problem I have with this game is there is no happy ending, which, I mean, isn't bad. But all of them end on somber notes of, oh, you're fucking dying by the way, you have terminal fucking brain aneurysms. No matter what you do, you always die. The only time you don't is if you let Johnny take your body, which, newsflash, isn't exactly living if your consciousness is sent into the endless cyberspace void. I get this is written on purpose to show that Night City doesn't have happy endings, and I mean, it's said the entire game that people don't get happy endings. They either live a quiet life or go out in a blaze of glory. But you'd think they'd give at least one good ending. I mean, yeah, there's the ending where you achieve your dreams of being a street legend, which, by the way, isn't negotiable. Your character, no matter their background, will want to become famous in Night City. Even if you chose to play as a nomad who just wandered into the city, quite literally, or a corpo who was falsely fired, you still want to be a street legend. There's no choice. Your character wants to be a street legend. This is V. Street legend, non-negotiable. They stick together. There is also the ending of we go off into the sunset with Pan Am, but besides those two, which, by the way, both those endings, you still have terminal fucking brain aneurysms, so there's no surviving. There's no good endings. No matter what, you will either die, kill yourself, or turn into a code in the endless net. Maybe they could have a bad ending where you do survive and your brain aneurysms are cured, but you lose all your friends because you sided with Arasaka and they no longer trust you. Maybe you could have your death prevented if you play through the game quick enough. Maybe you survive, but you become completely tranquil and unable to feel emotions. Yes, you can have all the bad endings, but at least give us one where we don't have to choose between dying of crippling brain aneurysms or becoming wacky JavaScripts on the internet.
Hang up that computer call. Come over here and kiss me on my hot mouth. I'm feeling romantical.
I said it before that all the romantic interests in the game are good, and I mean, they are, but they're also pretty poorly done. I mean, each character feels real, and you really do feel like you're getting to know them as a person. Hell, each of them have their own distinct sexuality, like Judy only likes women, Pan Am and Rivers both swing both ways, Carrie only likes men. It's incredibly well done, and even though I got sad on my first run where I couldn't date Judy since she's gay and I played as a guy, looking back, it's an excellent way to give characters an extra bit of believability. That being said, all you date the characters for is sex. Every single one, it just ends up going down questline. At the end of it, you get some sort of date, and then you have sex. Then, nothing. Sometimes you get like a text from them, or maybe you can call them and talk to them about something. Not really though, that's it. I know they can't exactly just give characters a permanent questline. I mean, everything is finite in a game. It's not real life after all. It's not a real person that I can call up on my phone and go on a date whenever I want. But you can put more in than just a couple quirky texts, or them calling you on your progress in the main story. Maybe do something similar to GTA where you can call them to hang out, have simple conversations randomly scripted, or have romantic partners have the ability to come with you on quests, or maybe comment on them similar to how Johnny does. Maybe give each romantic partner their ending. Like I already said, Pan Am has her own special ending, but none of the other romantic interests do, which means there's no running off into the sunset with Judy. I mean, there kind of is in an ending that you leave Night City, you do get to leave Night City with Judy, but still, the only real unique ending that a romantic partner has is with Pan Am. In Pan Am's ending, Saul sacrifices himself so you can fight the final boss. Maybe do the same thing with each of the partners, except they sacrifice themselves or a close friend of them. All of this could be done to make them feel more believable and not like an NPC, which they are. In Judy's questline, you get to meet all of her friends, which are dolls, which are like sex dolls, that you fuck them. What they do is they inject this code into them so they're not sex bots, but they're actually like fighting people that can like beat the shit out of kids real easily. Maybe go into the Arasaka Tower with these like robots and Judy, and then one of them dies while trying to fight the boss. You easily could have had a Judy ending like that, and then you go off to, I believe it's Oregon with her family. But, oh well.
What a fucking asshole.
Let's say you don't really care about all that though. Maybe you don't really care about, you know, having a realistic experience with an NPC. Maybe you don't care about the graphics, although they are fucking good. Maybe you don't care about having good endings or your quests really mattering. Maybe you just want to play this game for the gameplay. You like the game looks, you just want to have fun going sicko mode on some dystopian punks. Well, the game feels like, well, this. The guns don't feel like they have weight. I mean, I've played a lot of shooter games, and Cyberpunk's gun feel is so low, it needs to be classified in its own category low. I'm sure this comes from the game being developed by the Witcher guys, and not literally any studio who has ever made a gun before. I wouldn't be surprised if they just reverse engineered the crossbow from The Witcher 3, but they feel so bad. I'll compare it to, God forbid, Apex Legends, a game that I hate so much, but I will say does have incredible gun feel. I mean, the game just feels great. The bullets feel, wow, it feels so nice to laser kids down with a maxed out gun. Let's compare, shall we? This is an R99. Feels amazing to use, and killing people with it feels so nice and pleasing.
They spotted.
Now this is something similar in Cyberpunk. Apex. Cyberpunk. Apex. Cyberpunk. Do you see what I'm getting at? And God forbid you decide to go a hack route, because this is the gameplay as someone as a netrunner. I'm falling asleep with how boring this is. Now, again, I'm not a game dev. In no way could I make something better than this, but I know good gun feel when I see it, and this is just abhorrent. There's no weight, they just make me sad. The only true way that I could have fun playing this game in shooting is to run stealth and only shoot when I need to. There is one good gun in this game that I enjoyed using. A single gun that when I played through it, the 2 times that I played through it, I used because it actually felt nice to shoot. And that's Johnny's gun. Which is nice, I mean at least there's something, but one gun can't make up for the myriad of other guns in the game that make me feel like I roofie myself every time I shoot a bullet. The man, the GOAT, Jacky Wells, presents an interesting conundrum. In a game where every character you meet feels like a real person you form a genuine connection to, with Jacky, your friendship is forced. The game just says, hey, he's your best friend, hope you like him. Now imagine I stuck you in a room, right? Then I put a man, woman, boy, girl, pedophile, whoever in there and say, hey, this is your best friend, and then lock you two in the same room. Shit would be awkward, right? Jacky is definitely written to be a nice guy, and yeah, he seems cool, but the game just goes, hey, this is your best friend. Now he's dead. Be sad! I didn't really know him. I mean, you two do have good moments together, but unlike Johnny, Panera Bread, Judy, Rivers, Carrie, Takamura, Vic, even Misty, although you don't hunt super well, so she's a bit of a stretch, you guys all start off not really knowing each other or caring for one another, and then throughout the game, you guys make a great connection, and it feels like a genuine friendship is born. Yet with Jacky, they skip all that, and when he eventually goes bye-bye, I was left not caring at all. Maybe instead of skipping literally a half a year of your life in a cutscene, let the player play through some of it with time skips in between to get to know Jacky better, to make more of a sound and meaningful character. Maybe make him do more than just,
come on, let's go.
Nowhere.
Side quests in Cyberpunk are very hit or miss. Some of them are great. I mean, all the romantic options come from side quests, and all the relationships you make are from the side quests. But they can also be very anticlimactic. I mean, here, there's this quest where you meet a prisoner who believes himself to be the fucking reincarnation of Jesus Christ and has himself crucified to save more sinners. This quest is incredibly weird, but both super interesting and awkward. I loved doing it, and in contrast, there's a quest where you meet the famous singer, Lizzie Wizzy, who thinks her boyfriend, which is her manager, is cheating on her. Cool, not super enticing, but cool enough to keep me along, right? You go, you find out that he's not cheating on her, but he's copying her data to make clones in the event of her death. And you then can either tell Lizzie Wizzy, or don't tell her. If you tell her, she kills her manager and acts deranged and mentally damaged. If you don't tell her, nothing happens. That's it. No climactic ending. If she kills her manager, everything still goes normally. You don't find out about her being arrested or anything going wrong. I believe she appears on the radio, you can hear people talking about her, but that's it. How about instead of just ending the quest, she invites you to a concert and during it she goes on a psychotic rampage on the crowd? How about you can find her later freaking out in the streets? What if you can listen to her music on the radio beforehand, and then after you don't listen to her music anymore, and her viewings drop because she's acting like a fucking psycho, because she killed her manager? There's so much more that could be done to make this quest more than it was, but it was just failed on. This goes for a vast majority of quests that mostly end up being very one-dimensional, which honestly might just be an issue that CD Projekt Red has, since even in The Witcher, their side quests aren't the best. I get it's not the developer's main focus, but side quests are necessary to prolong a game's playtime, otherwise you can just get bored, and that is the worst thing you want. You do not want your player base to be bored of your game. I hate to compare it to this because they're releasing like the 80th fucking version of it, but let's compare it to Skyrim. Skyrim, all of their side quests are fucking fun. I'm pretty sure there are a few that some people don't like, there are some that you won't do, but I have 8,000-ish hours in Skyrim. Most of that on the PlayStation, but some of it on PC. I have so much time in Skyrim. When the game came out, I was like 10, and I would just come home from school and sit there and playing all day long, always finding new stuff to do. To this day, I still sometimes find things that I didn't know about. There are so many fun side quests in Skyrim, I can't think of a single one off the top of my head that I don't like doing. Maybe the quest with Sven, but that's literally just deliver a note. So...
Ninja pacifiers. I want your baby sucking on me. Okay.
That's really it. I mean, there is more I could talk about, how the car designs range from discount Corvette to questionable design choice, or how they added this mechanic where you can look yourself in the mirror and it does absolutely nothing, or how I could make a better character design system with my eyes gouged out. Your hairstyles are dog shit, dog shit, dog shit, dog shit, alright. Dog shit, dog shit, dog shit. Yeah, there's more problems with the game, but they're all small enough that if they were the only problems, I wouldn't really care. To recap, the game's story is good, but your options don't matter at all. Most of the characters are pretty well written and feel very real. The game looks great, but the endings are all copy-pastes. The romance is just questing for sex, fucking Christian shit. Most side quests are boring. The gunplay leaves much to be desired, and Jacky Wells was done dirty. In conclusion, if you want a cyberpunk dystopian future game, play Ghost Runner. If you want a game with good gun feel, go play Apex or Titanfall 2, if you can find a server. If you want a game to make wacky, super customizable characters with really in-depth options, go play Sonic Character Designer.
I'm from Humberside. I'm sorry if I made a fool of Humberside, but all those people who called me a sleepwalker, I woke up. Now I'm going back to sleep because I'm going to be committed in an isolation room because I'm going to go back to the ministry and allow them to perceive me as I am, a fuck-up!